Fox News alert on new video coming in from Pakistan this hour. Hundreds of protesters demonstrated outside of the U.S. consulate in the Pakistani city of Lahore today. Protesters were beaten back by police. Look at this video. Beaten back by the police as they tried to scale the metal barrier to reach the consulate building. This is just one, of course, of several violent protests across the country of Pakistan and the greater Mideast and beyond today. In the middle of all of this, as we see, and we talked about moments ago, our troops coming under additional fire in Afghanistan, the White House issued its plan on Friday for more than $100 billion in automatic budget cuts. The White House and the Republicans in Congress agreed to these. The plan includes sharp cuts to the military, with America facing growing rage and violence across the Muslim world, and the attacks spreading like wildfire. Some $55 billion will now be slashed from the defense budget, every year, in fact, for the next decade, in cuts that the Obama administration admits will be, quote, destructive and will put our national security at risk. Nice. This is the situation in which our lawmakers have put us. Joining me now, Lou Dobbs, who's host of Lou Dobbs Tonight on the Fox Business Network and a syndicated radio host. I mean, I don't know, Lou, you tell me, President Obama and the lawmakers in Congress, bipartisan lawmakers, put out these cuts that they themselves call destructive and irresponsible. Right. And already we have defense contractors who have to lay off people and who are not hiring because they can't say, oh, November will come and we'll get new lawmakers in and then they'll feel emboldened to save us from these enormous cuts to our defense, which our defense secretary says are going to be catastrophic. They say, we can't wait for that. We have to start acting now. And this is the position. I mean, we elected these people, and this is what they do to us. Well,
you get the kind of government that you deserve on occasion, and right now we have lawmakers and a White House that have agreed to sequestration. Automatic across the board budget cuts because they didn't have the intelligence, the energy, or imagination, or a sense of responsibility to cut the budget on their own, making independent, discrete judgments. Now, what is really breathtaking is the White House announcing that these cuts are destructive. Sequestration was the idea, the proposal that originated in the White House. And you have the White House holding forth on this is destructive.
They've come out and said this is not responsible policy.
Well, they're right about that. And they're also right about the additional aspect of this, which is the other side of the so-called fiscal cliff, which is another round of tax increases that will come about on January 2nd because this president and this Congress haven't had the guts to deal with the issue.
And just to reset for our viewers, so the president wanted to raise the debt limit of the country, the limit on our country, on our credit card 2 summers ago, not this past summer, but the one before. Right. And in exchange for it, the Republicans said, okay, we'll let you do it, but you have to agree to $1.2 trillion in cut to the deficit over 10 years. They couldn't agree on how, whatever. So finally they said, all right, let's make these draconian cuts to the defense budget and to domestic spending that none of us could ever live with. And then we'll appoint a super committee, and the super committee will work out something more reasonable because no one would ever let these defense cuts. Well, guess what happened with the super committee? They failed. And now these cuts are about to happen.
They are about to happen.
Unless they find some alternative between now and December 31st.
At the same time that, as you showed so terrifically there, we're looking at a wildfire of new challenges to our national security. This is not only irresponsible, but it is a continuation of what has been absolutely mindless foreign policy. Not simply in this administration, I will add, but to the previous administration, because we have spent money as if it were not Chinese, as if it were our own, as if it were ours and not that of future generations of Americans. We are burdening them. And the $85 billion in tax increases that will occur, along with $110 billion in budget cuts, is estimated to have somewhere between a 1.5% to 1.25% impact on GDP growth. Wow. We're looking at the prospect of hundreds of thousands of jobs being lost. You mentioned the defense industry, but throughout this already beleaguered economy, we're talking about more jobs being lost. It's the most
because there's no political courage in Washington.
There's no political courage.
The Republicans don't want to raise taxes, and the Democrats don't want to agree to any entitlement spending cuts.
The House has put forward a budget. It's idiotic to raise taxes in this environment right now. There is no question. It is stupid beyond belief to even contemplate it. And to cut just without any kind of judgment our defense budget while we are asking more and more of our troops, that is mindless. And what I can't understand for the life of me, Megan, is why this is not a focal point of debate and discussion on the campaign trail between these two candidates.
They just blame each other. I mean, the White House came out with this budget saying it's blunt, it's indiscriminate, it's destructive, and it's not responsible, but we're going to do it anyway, and it's all the Republicans' fault. And they say it's all President Obama's fault.
Well, we can say, because we have got considerable evidence to this fact, that it is the White House's idea.
It was their idea.
It was signed onto by Republicans. If there's any doubt in anyone's mind, watching and listening to your voice and mine, that these two political parties right now are in desperate need of some sort of transplant for character, for principle, and for energy, and a sense of responsibility to the people they serve, I don't know what would be required.
Yeah, we're going to have some programs would be exempted, like veterans benefits, medical care, and salaries of military personnel, but we're going to see cut for the war spending in Afghanistan and many other military cuts. I got to run, Lou.
You got it. And I want to just add one thing. At the low end of these tax increases, it'll be a 50% increase in the tax rate on those in the 10% bracket. Figure that one out.
Wow. All right.